everyone. It's Amanda Mertz at Did You Stamp Today, and today I'm going to be going live in a few minutes to do Let's Stamp Today live stamping session, just to show you something that I designed and had fun putting together. So I'm going to show you how it goes together, and hopefully you learn a few tips and get inspired for your own stamping. I have a lot of new followers lately, so if you're new here, I'm Amanda Mertz, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Glen Allen, Virginia, which is a suburb of Richmond, and I've been a demonstrator since 2009, and I hold a monthly class for local stampers, and I share a lot online on Instagram and my blog and Facebook and YouTube, so you might see me all over the place, and my social media name is Did You Stamp Today. You can search Amanda Mertz, Did You Stamp Today, and they all pop up in one way or another. So I'd love it if you followed me on all my other social platforms and stamp with me. And I don't really have any announcements this week. Usually I do some quick announcements for local stampers and stuff, but there's really nothing new going on. The only thing is that there's a few days left of the join special. I blanked there for a second. Until the end of October, you can join Stampin' Up. There's two choices. For $35, you can get $125 worth of products in your starter kit, and then for $125, no, for $89, no, I'm losing my mind. It's $35 for $125, and it's $99 for $189. I've been saying this all week, and I don't know. I just totally blanked on the prices. So, hey, Joan, glad you could join us today. Happy Halloween to you, too. I hope everybody's gotten their Halloween candy ready to go for Friday. We have a big pile of it, so hopefully it's enough. So let me just get my other screen going here so I can see if other people have joined us once we start stamping, and then I can swing the camera around. Hopefully, I'm going to try to go a little bit closer today because the details got a little lost last week on the project. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit more to see my big sweatshirt. Okay, that might be a little too much. Let's see if we can zoom, get the camera in. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. Try to make sure, I'm trying to aim for my center of my grid paper here. So this is what we're going to be using today to make a quick little card. And it's no crazy technique or fold or anything today. I just wanted to use the product that I hadn't used very much and just put together a little card. I like mixing and matching products, especially after I've had items for a while. So some of these I received in August maybe from the Stampin' Up! Demonstrator pre-order. So after a couple months, I like to start mixing and matching and, you know, trying to get the most out of something. I make probably about 80 Christmas cards every year. So I want to make sure I use them to their fullest potential, and mixing and matching is always a fun way to do that. So I'm going to be starting with a little cheer. And this is a sweet little online exclusive that came out in July. It's still available, and it's really cute. Quite a few little tiny images and then some smaller sentiments. And then I'm going to also be using the Wishing You Joy. If you've watched lately, I've used this quite a bit. I like just the different sizes. You never know. Sometimes you need a little smaller sentiment. Sometimes you need a little bigger one. And so I like using this one for that. So those are the two stamp sets that we'll be using. And the product that I wanted to use on this card that I haven't used very much is the traditional Wreath embossing folder, and that's in the September to December mini, so you can find that there, and it's a nice big wreath with some pretty foliage. So I think I've only used it once or twice, but I don't know why that is, but just the way things happen sometimes. So I wanted to see if I could feature that on a card too, and kind of make that a part of the card, mixing it with these other stamp sets. So what I'm going to do, let me pull in some of my supplies, just kind of give you an idea. Oop, nope, that envelope I've already, I need to get another, I don't know where I grabbed that one from, but it already had a stamp. So we're just going to use an envelope. I've got a pool party card base. That's just the standard 8.5 by 5.5 card base. I have a piece of shaded spruce, and this one is 4 by 5 1/4, so it's just a 1/4 inch smaller than the card front. And then I've got the same size basic white piece, and that's going to be my insert, so 4 and 5 1/4. I always do an insert. I think it just makes the card look finished and nice and clean. And then I've just got, these are all just scraps, so nothing is like a size. This is the only one that's going to stay the way it is, and this is just a scrap of 1/2 inch wide basic white. But these pieces of basic white I just pulled out of my scrap bin to use, so we're just going to be nothing needs to be measured for that. And so that's about it with the supplies for cardstock anyway. So I am going to bring up the Big Shot, my die cutter, my embossing, and I'm just going to emboss my shaded spruce with the embossing folder, and I just want to get it lined up because I want to get the edge. I want to make sure you can see this since I'm zoomed in. So I want to make sure I get the edge of the wreath and try to line it up a little better so it's kind of even, so some of the pieces overhang. So I'm just going to run that through, really simple. And it makes a very nice, like, deep impression, this embossing folder. And I also want to point out, you also want to put your embossing folders in with the hinge end in first. If you put it in sideways, you put it in the other way, there's a lot of extra pressure that gets put on this, especially if you put it in sideways, and they can start to split. So if you're new to dry embossing with embossing folders, just make sure you put your embossing folders in with the hinge end first. So you'll get definitely a longer lifespan from them doing that. I'm also going to do my pool party base, and then I can just set that one aside. And got a bone folder, get nice crisp edges. There we go. And so we're using a lot of ink on this card, a lot of different inks. But the first one that I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to use some shaded spruce ink, and we're just going to highlight the embossed. So I'm going to see, I don't know, sometimes the tone on tone, it's hard to see. It maybe doesn't translate as well on screen, but it has a pretty deep impression. And I just want to show you, you can see that, but we're just going to highlight it a little bit more. I'm going to pick up some ink with a blending brush, and we're just going to blend it over the image, and it just darkens it enough, and it makes it stand out a little bit more. I want to make sure that you guys can see that, and I'm tapping off my blending brush a little bit so I don't get a big dark blob in one spot. I'm just going to kind of brush that around, and it just gives it a little bit extra detail to have it stand out. So. Oh, Joan says this is on her list. Was it the stamp set or the embossing folder? I didn't see that until just now. So, but if it's the embossing folder, it's very pretty. And of course you could use it, get a little bit more here. You could use it, it's not just Christmas. You could just use it as a like foliage background. You know, you could do spring colors. Like, it doesn't, you're not set in stone to have to use it for Christmas just because it's kind of intended as a Christmas product. So there we go. I don't know if that translates well to the screen or not, but if you can see, kind of just highlights the leaves a little bit more, and it differentiates kind of the center and then the edges, so you can kind of pick up where the pattern is. The next thing we're going to do I am going to use my Gold Wink of Stella pen. And if you can see, there's little kind of like berries. And I'm just going to highlight each of those. Some of them are going to end up getting covered, but it's easier to get them all before we start adding more pieces to the card front. So I'm just going to quickly give them a little bit of glitter here with the Gold Wink of Stella. And there's also the Clear Wink of Stella. So if you've got that one, you could do that for an even subtler, more subtler. Neither of those sounds quite right. For, you know, a little bit, you know, obviously clear, but you still get a little bit of sparkle. The gold stands out a little bit more, especially against the dark cardstock. But this gold and this shaded spruce are a nice pairing. So let's see. Oop, I missed one up here. Keep turning it and making sure the little berries are kind of hidden. I don't know if I did such a great job on some of those, but kind of see the sparkle. Just adds a little something. Yep, and there's one right here. That's a partial one. Can't forget him. There we go. All right. Now I think we can, let's add that to the card front and get my glue out. And like I said, this is a pretty, as usual, the glue is a little clogged. I don't even know what I was going to say there, but oh, as usual, like what I'm going to show you, like I like these colors together, but any color combination that you like, this card would be really easy to, you know, just change out the colors and you could make a whole different look. But these colors just happen to all kind of catch my eye, and I thought they looked nice together. And I decided to use, so we've already got Pool Party because we've got that in the base. I've got Flirty Flamingo. I've got Shy Shamrock, so a little bit of a lighter green. And then I've got Poppy Parade. So these four, along with the shaded spruce, is kind of a nice color combination. And actually I should, when I start doing this, let me see if I could use my cardstock ring, and that kind of helps maybe show off some of the colors a little bit better. So let me pull out my color ring. So if you're a local customer of mine, every year when there's new ink colors or if there's a color swap, I do color swatches so everyone can get a sample of the colors. And it just makes it nice for when you're trying to match stuff, or if you have to go to the store and match a ribbon, you know, just whatever. Or if you're not sure, you've got that mystery piece of cardstock that ended up on your desk and you're like, well, what color is that? Is it an old color? Is it a new color? And it just helps you kind of figure out and match. So let me pull those out so I can show you. Let's see. Which one did I forget? Oh, I forgot. Actually, I forgot two, I think. Where is my... There it is. Flirty Flamingo. And then Poppy Parade is a bright, so that one's back here. So, but it's nice to keep them all together. And then when a color retires, I tuck it on a different ring that's all retired colors, which, let me show you how long I've been around Stampin' Up. So this is the current ring. This is the retired ring. Look at that. I used to do them in the scallop punch, but it found out that the 2x2 squares is easier to manage. So these are all colors that have retired over the years, whether they're in colors or regular color collection card stock that's retired. So I've been around for a hot minute. But you can see this is a little bit more of a manageable color. So let me show the colors, maybe give a nice little color palette here. So these are our colors, and they're Christmassy, but they're a little bit fresher, you know, with the Poppy Parade instead of real red. Flirty Flamingo is, you know, kind of a brighter color, and then the Shy Shamrock is a fresh green, and it matches nicely with the shaded spruce. So those are the colors that I'm using. I'll slide those up maybe. Can you see them? I don't know if you can see those. I'll have to wait and see for everything to catch up. All right, so let me pull in now my little scraps of cardstock. And let's see, let's start with Pool Party. And I am going to use, ooh, I'm dropping stuff. And I've got the little Christmas tree. I've got the little stocking. I've got the star. Basically all the little images from that A Little Cheer set. And they're kind of stuck together. And then the two packages. And they're super cute. So I'm just going to kind of mix and match the different colors and the different images. And then I'm going to use the sweetest little punches. How cute are these little guys? And we're going to punch them out and fussy cut a few just to have some bigger shapes. And so I think I'm just going to start with Pool Party. So I'm going to do a couple stars. I'm going to do a couple stars. Star. Maybe 3. Even, oops. Even if we don't use them all, I can always add them on to another card. And then let's see, what else are we going to do? Maybe a tree in Pool Party. And then let's see, how about one package? The big one? The tall one. Let's do the tall one. And so then we have a variety when we get to it. My Pool Party pad is super juicy, so I don't know if we're going to get a very good image. It's a little muddy. Let's try one more and see if we get a better one. I don't know if that's any better. We'll see if it looks better when it dries. So let's set those aside and get out some different color. How about we do, well, let's do Shy Shamrock next in case we do any of the same stamps. And we can do, let's see, where's the little tree again? So we'll stamp off. So I'm not going to clean these really until I switch over to the other colors because the Pool Party and the Shy Shamrock are pretty close. So we'll do, how about 2 of those trees? And then, let's see, do we want anything else in Shy Shamrock? Let's do the tall present again. I think I might have to actually figure out my Pool Party ink pad and see. Yeah, look at, see, too much ink gets in the little grooves, and that one came out much better. So I'm gonna actually show you guys a trick. I thought this was gonna be an easy, quick card. Let me grab, all right, a tissue. So I probably over inked this one after using it in a class, and I haven't used it since. So I'm just gonna lay a tissue over it and lightly press and pull up a little bit of that excess ink. Let's see, it still looks like it's a little bubbly. So maybe we'll do this, pull up a little bit more. I must have gone crazy with it must have seemed drier than it actually was. So now the moment of truth. Let's grab a couple more pieces of scrap. I can still see it kind of is bubbling up. I don't know. This is one of my older ink pads, so it might just be time to replace it. This is from the original Firm Foam revamp back in, like, I don't even know when it was, 2011, 2012. Well, that's a little bit better. Once that dries, that shouldn't be so speckled, but it didn't run into the lines anymore. So if you ever have an ink pad that you've over inked, or it comes straight from Stampin' Up with way too much ink to make it easy to use, just dab a little paper towel or a tissue over the top. You don't need to press hard, it soaks up. But give that a shot and see if that helps it have a little bit of a better image. So anyway, on to more stamping. How about we do Flirty Flamingo? And let's see, what do I want to use? Flirty Flamingo. There's my, I'm going to use my square package. And we're just going to do that one there. Let's give another one. There we go. And let's see, how about the star? kind of huff on it and get off everything on the little edges. We'll do a star there and a star there. See, I'm just using scrap paper, so it doesn't really matter what the size is. And let's see, how about some Poppy Parade now? We'll do some stockings in the Poppy Parade. And let's see. And everything dries a little bit lighter, so if you think that looks too dark, it will dry a little bit lighter. And let me see, what else do I think we need? I think that might be good once we get everything punched out and see. So I'm gonna go back to, we'll save the fussy cutting and we'll do the punching first. So I'm gonna do all my stars. And these a little cheer punch bundle. It's super cute. Look at, nice little star. So the images are slightly larger than the punch, so you don't get that white outline around them like you do for a lot of punches and dies. Let me see if you can see. So it just leaves a little bit of the image on the outside from when you've punched, which is fine. So you can definitely tell that you've got your whole image punched out. So we've got that. And then let's see, move that in. We'll do the pink stars, our Flirty Flamingo. Punch that one. And then punch that one. And our two Poppy Parade stockings. And let's see, we'll save that in our Christmas trees. I think we might want to go back. We only have 2 of the Shy Shamrock, and Shy Shamrock is one of last year's in colors, so it's in that group with the Petunia Pop, Pretty in Pink, Summer Splash, and Peach Pie, but it is a nice fresh blue. Oh, here we've got a, here we go, there's another. I almost punched the wrong one. And so we've got all that, and let's see what else. Maybe we want, we've got 2 pink stars. Well, let's just start arranging. We can always go back. I'm going to get out my, pull these back in so you can see our colors. Try to keep them pretty, huh? For the aesthetics in my messy desk. Paper snips. And I think this is the better one of the Pretty in Pink packages. So I'm just going to, the packages do not have punches or dies, but they're not hard to fussy cut. So you just kind of give it a quick, I think I fussy cut some last week. Yes, I did, with the little fat bear and the little winter house scene. But as I said then, the trick to getting good fussy cuts and even edges is to move your paper and just kind of keep your scissors straight. All right, here's the better. See, that one turned out better. So let me, again, for comparison after they're dry, these are the first ones where there's way too much ink. And there's the last one that after I sopped off some ink. So that's definitely a better, that one's definitely a better image. So, and re-inkers, I always say, when you buy a new ink pad, a new color, always get the re-inker at the same time so you have it. Because especially for the ink colors, as it gets closer to them being retired after their 2-year run, the more likely that the re-inkers are going to be sold out. So you don't want to have an ink pad that you can't get a re-inker for, because a re-inker will keep your ink pad like years and years and years, especially if you're just stamping for personal use. You know, as a demonstrator, I use a lot of ink because I hold classes all the time. But if you're just using it for yourself, like a re-inker, like years you can have your pads last. So don't put it off. I know it's not an exciting purchase when you're filling up your cart and you're like, look at all these new stamps and papers and dies. Get the ink, the re-inkers, because then you can re-ink whenever you need to, and then also You can use it to watercolor, you know, just drop a drop of re-inker and pick it up with a water painter or a blender pen. But on the reverse side, if you have too much ink, you can just kind of sop it up. Some people use like an old gift card or an old credit card, and you can kind of scrape it to one side, and then later on you can scrape it back over as you use ink. So those both work. I like just sopping it up so it's even all the way around, because I can never remember which side I've ended up scraping it across to. So now we're going to get into some assembly. I think you can probably see where this is going. It's not super difficult. Not every card has to have some crazy technique or fold or, you know, like complicated things. Sometimes it's just images and putting them together and making them look, you know, cute. So this one, I'm just gonna pop up all the little pieces on top of, and then just arrange them around the, oops, I can't get that one off, and arrange them around the wreath. And let's see, maybe we should arrange them first to make sure we get our layout. Let's get some of that blue, and then how about a tree? Try to get the colors evenly spaced around, maybe. Get some of the Poppy Parade. How about a package? What color package? I think, oops, I just knocked one on the ground. What did I drop? I heard something hit. Oh, well, anyway, I think maybe it was a scrap. Let me slide all this out of the way so I don't lose anything. So, pool party package. Let's do, we need some more bright colors. And then how about the tree? And then we can see if we need to fill in any colors and stamp some more. Oh, I keep stabbing pointy pieces of cardstock underneath my pointer finger. I tried to pick up a dimensional backing last night, and the point just went like hit under my fingernail straight, and it's really painful. It shouldn't hurt that bad, but and I keep sticking stuff under there again. All right, let's see. We've got the big one. Now we can fill in that. So the packages are kind of evenly spaced around and kind of angled some of them a little bit. Let's see, what do we have? 1 star. I think we need, those 2 stars are kind of close together, but they're the same color. We need, how about something else pink? What else pink do we have? How about a pink tree? Let's see, Flirty Flamingo. Here we go. Kind of stamp off any of the green so we don't get a muddy color. And Flirty Flamingo tree. Oh, that one wasn't a great image. Let's do it this way. No, can you see that on the side? I'm worried now if I'm zoomed in a little bit more than usual if you can see. There we go. Now we've got a little bit more. There we go. That's pretty cute, right? Let me hold it up and you can kind of see. You can kind of see the wink of Stella on the little berries coming through and little packages. So it's like you're building a little wreath for your front door with little Christmas images. And now we're just gonna trim some dimensionals and use some dimensionals to pop them all up. I'm gonna pre-cut some of these so I can just grab them and trim them as we need. So like I said, they're pretty small, and even the mini dimensionals are too big for some of them except for the stars, I guess. And then let's see, this one I think I'm just going to cut in half and use one for this tree and one for the other tree. Now this part isn't super exciting. I told you there wasn't going to be like anything crazy, but maybe you learned a little something today. I just like showing you guys what I'm working on. And from now on, I think it's going to be Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. Because even though it feels like I've made quite a few, I think I'm still quite short of my ultimate goal. All right, that one, I think we can put just one regular size dimensional in the middle. Let's try to keep our spacing, kind of tip him that way. And then we've got that one. So like I said, the star is the only one that's big enough for. So if you don't like fussy, like little pieces, or they're hard for you to grab, this might not be the kind of design you want to do. You could maybe just use the little images and stamp a whole background and, you know, like maybe make your own designer series paper instead of using the little tiny pieces. But today I must have had just the right amount of coffee because I don't feel too shaky with my hands, and I'm able to pick them up pretty easily. But I'll show you at the end some other ways to use a little bit of cheer, what is it again? A little cheer. How to use some of the pieces in other ways for your cards. We're almost done with this, and then we've just got a couple more things to do. But you can see how these colors really pop nicely against the shaded spruce. Sometimes you just find a color combination that just hits just right. And I think I might have to try and see what else I can come up with. Maybe some snowflakes, snowflake card using these colors. And then last one here, I'm gonna do, is it the last one? Where did that one come from? I have like an extra snowflake. This one's supposed to be over here. Let's see. I think my spacing got a little mixed up. No, we'll leave that one there. Well, maybe that one just gets left off. There's our, there we go. And that looks pretty good. Now, remember at the beginning I said I've got this piece of 1/2 inch scrap. I think I'm going to make a banner with our sentiment. And let's see, wishing you, I put these out already. Let's see, I'm going to use the wishing you joy. And I'm going to pull in my shaded spruce because that's a nice dark color and that ties in from the background. I'm going to try to do this without getting my head. See if I can get it lined up. Oh, pretty good. And I'm going to trim the ends, and we're going to get fancy. We're going to do a little flagged end. Add a little bit more detail to this otherwise pretty simple card. Now, to make flagged ends, I always find it easiest to get them even is to cut a little slit kind of in the center and then go from the ends in. So just kind of eyeball it. With bigger ones, I usually measure, but with the small ones, I just eyeball it. And then this way you get everything, you know, it's pretty even for eyeballing it. So that's the way I've always done my flagged ends. If you don't have a special punch or something, dropping stuff all over. Now let's see, I think we're gonna do, this gold twine is retired. I feel like every few years they bring, you know, gold twine back. I just buy it when it's available and I keep using it until I run out, and then the next gold twine version comes out. But I think this right now is not available, but it fits the vibe and it fits the little bit of gold. So I'm just tying it on the reel, and then I'm going to trim with my ribbon scissors, also long retired. Trim that off, and I'm just going to put it kind of diagonal behind my banner, just so it kind of peeks out, and then I can trim my ends more fully. I'm going to hold it down. I'm going to use, let's see, dimensional right in the middle to kind of hold it in. And then I'm going to use 2 more just for stability, so then they don't, the ends don't get squished in the mail. So let's see where I want to slide that under. And so we're getting down to the end of this card. Told you it wasn't going to be too crazy. Let's see, how about right here, wishing you joy. That's straight. You know what? I'm going to close this up before the whole card goes splat face first. Oh, hi Jill. I just looked up to look at my comments. I need to train myself to peek up more often to see who's joined. Glad you could pop in and see what's going on today. I know Jill was just at my class last night, so we stamped together last night too. There we go. That's that. And now I'm going to even more little splashes of gold. I'm going to pull in these low profile dots, and these ones are super flat, so they're great if you're worried about having problems through the mail. And I'm just going to put a couple of these around the images just to bring in a little bit more. See, maybe one right here and then one more. So I'm doing 5. So like the odd number thing kind of works. So that's what we've got. Like I told you, nothing crazy. Now we're just going to do a little bit on the inside in the envelope to finish it off. And again, that's our color palette. So let's see, what do we want to do? I think I'm going to do this coordinating May Your Christmas Be Bright. So wishing you joy on the front and May Your Christmas Be Bright is going to go on the inside. I think I'm just going to try to stamp it in the center. And then we're going to use some of our images. I'm just going to stamp those around a couple. Let's go back to our pool party, maybe 2 of those. And then how about, where's my other stamp? Oh, there it is. I think we've got the Pretty in Pink, or Flirty Flamingo, not Pretty in Pink. And then we're gonna do, oops, look at that. Trying to go too fast. Always get ink everywhere. Never have clean hands. And to balance out the pink on the one side, we'll put that on that side. And finally, how about we'll stamp off the Flirty Flamingo on the tree, and we'll do a couple of the Shy Shamrock. And there we go, we've got that. Just get that inside. So you could sit and watch TV and then just stamp a whole bunch of each little image and all the different colors and punch them out, and then you have, like maybe a whole Ziploc bag full, and then you can do your background, and then you can just sit and build little wreaths all over, and everyone will be a little bit different, and before you know it, you've probably got 7 or 8 cards made to put in your stack. There we go. Oh, almost forgot. Can't forget that. The envelope. No naked envelopes. You've gotta have your envelope stamped. I'm just gonna do the one little corner. Sometimes they get so beat up in the mail, I don't want to spend too much time, but it kind of coordinates nicely, and those are our color combinations. So this is really cute using the wreath. Let me see, where did it go? Here it is. The traditional wreath embossing folder to do the background, and then we just blended a little bit of ink around, and then we just added all of our little stamps. Super cute. And let me show you, I've got a stack of other cards here that I have made with these little punches and stuff to give you some other ideas. All right, so that's today's. We'll slide that one up. Here is one that I made. I think this might be the first one I made. This more traditional Christmas colors. So it's similar. It's got the gold and the red and the green and a little wood background. So with the little images, you really want to try to pop them up, or, give them some good layering to make them stand out. Here's another one that I made using, they're all punched out and they're on the little garland strings. And this is kind of a fun fold. I did this fun fold, look back a month or 2 months ago. I show you exactly how this fun fold comes together on one of my Stampin' Live videos, and it's made with the Party Banner die set. So it's a fun fold. It's really easy once you see, you know, where you need to die cut and all that. But that's one. I use the little snowflake as the background. So there's ways to make those little images stand out. Here's another one. I'm clearly obsessed with the banner, so it's like double banners, but it's an interesting shape, and it also gives you a little bit smaller place so your images don't get too lost. But this is another fun color combination, a little off the beaten path with traditional. So we've got Old Olive, Petunia Pop, Lemon Lime Twist, and Fresh Freesia. And then I've got some gold embossing on the background. And let's see, here's more. I was clearly workshopping these colors. Here's another one. I made a shaker card. And you can see my little images in there. There's probably too many. They don't move as much as I'd probably like, but I punched out a lot of the images to make a shaker card and added some gold sequins. And then I used the presents in the background to make a, you know, just a little pattern in the back. And again, here are these colors again. And I use the little punches to punch out in the 1-inch strips on the background to make a pattern in the back. So that is another way to use those punches and images. So I hope you've gotten some ideas. If you overlooked this little stamp set in the online exclusives it came out in July, so it's been a hot minute. So if you've missed those, you might want to go back and take a look. But super cute little images, and it's always fun to have punches because they make things pretty quick when you're trying to make multiples. So don't overlook these. And I hope to see you back again next week. This is Let's Stamp Today. And I'm Amanda Mertz, and I hope you like and follow and share if you know anybody that would enjoy watching these videos. I'm here every Wednesday at 11 Eastern, so hope you pop in and say hello. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.